Today, we are going to look at the question, does everything happen due to Kamma in Theravada Buddhism? Now, Buddhism is the teaching of Lord Gautama Buddha, who lived and taught in India in the 6th and 5th century before Christ. Now, Lord Gautama Buddha was born into a royal family as Prince Siddhartha in a place called Lumbini in the present-day Nepal. Being a royal prince, he grew up with all the royal comforts, and he was prevented from seeing any human suffering outside the royal palace. However, as a young adult, he did witness human suffering in several forms, in the form of old age, illness, and death. And when he came to know that this human suffering is common to everybody, including himself and his loved ones, that alarmed and shocked him. And he wanted to find a way out of human suffering. So at the age of 29, he left home and became a homeless ascetic. For the next 6 years, he practiced severe austerity and self-mortification, believing that it will bring enlightenment and liberation from suffering. But it did not. So he gave it up and started meditating under a tree in a place called Bodh Gaya in India. And he was successful. Through meditation, he was able to eradicate all his mental defilements, and he realized the Four Noble Truths through meditation without any assistance from any teacher. The Four Noble Truths that the Buddha realized during enlightenment are the truth of suffering, dukkha satcha, the truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya satcha, the truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha satcha, and the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, the magga satcha. Now, having attained enlightenment as a Samma Sambuddha, the Buddha began teaching the Buddhist doctrine and the path of liberation from suffering to others so that they could also cultivate the same path and liberate themselves from suffering. So, for the next 45 years, until he passed away at the age of 80 years, the Buddha went around India teaching his doctrine. And there are several key aspects of the Buddha's teaching, such as the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, dependent origination of Paticca Samuppada, rebirth, Kamma, and universal characteristics of all physical and mental phenomena in this world, such as impermanence, anicca, suffering, dukkha, and absence of a self, anatta. So, Kamma is a central aspect of the Buddhist doctrine. Now, during the past 26 centuries since the passing away of the Buddha, a number of traditions evolved within Buddhism. And one of the main traditions is Theravada Buddhism. Now, Thera means elders, and Vada means doctrines. So, Theravada means the doctrine of the elders. And it is generally accepted that Theravada Buddhism is the most conservative and the oldest tradition within Buddhism. Now, I am a Theravada Buddhist practitioner. So today I'm discussing Kamma in terms of the Theravada Buddhism. Now, on the night of enlightenment at Bodh Gaya in India, Lord Gautama Buddha attained three special knowledges or mental powers. Through the first special knowledge, he was able to see his own previous lives. And through the second special knowledge, he was able to see the death and rebirth of other living beings depending on their karma. Those who did good karma were reborn in good places, while those who did bad karma were reborn in bad places. And the third special knowledge was the destruction of his own mental defilements. So, when the Buddha started teaching about the karma, its effect, and how it works, the Buddha did so having seen the action of karma by himself through his special knowledge. Now, the Pali word kamma means action. And the Buddha said, kamma means only intentional, volitional, and willful actions. Buddha said, if an action is not intentional and it is accidental or unconscious, it is not a karma. And karma is a natural process of cause and effect. There is no need for any external agency or superpower to sit in judgment to decide the effect of a particular karma. When one does a karma, good or bad, and that will lead to consequences either sooner or later. Now, in a discourse called Chula Kamma Vibhanga Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, there's a collection of the Buddha's middle-length discourses. A young Brahmin named Subha went to the Buddha and asked the Buddha, Sir, why is there so much inequality among the human beings? And he said, Sir, there are some who got a short life while others got a long life. Some are sickly while others are healthy. Some are ugly while others are beautiful. Some are influential while others are not influential. Some people are poor while some people are rich. Some people are born into low classes while others are born into high classes. And some people are of low intelligence while some other people are of high intelligence. And he wanted to know why this inequality in the society. And the Buddha said, all living beings are the owners of their actions. They ask to their actions. They originate from their actions. They are related through their actions. They have their actions as their refuge. And the Buddha said, it is action or Kamma that distinguishes human beings as inferior or superior. Now, the mind itself cannot perform any mental, verbal, or physical actions. And it is the intention, the will or volition that directs all the actions, whether they are physical, verbal, or mental. In a discourse called Nibbedika Sutta of Anguttara Nikaya, that is a collection of the Buddha's numerical discourses, the Buddha said, Chetana bhikkhave kammam vadami, chetayitva kammam karoti, kayena vachaya manasa. It is volition, intention, will that I call Kamma. By volition, one performs Kamma through the body, speech, or mind. So, an intentional action can be either a bodily or physical action, a verbal action through speech, or a mental action. The mental action, of course, is the most morally significant because it is the origin of both bodily and verbal actions as well. Now, the intentional actions that we perform could be bad, unwholesome, or unskillful if the actions are based on unwholesome roots of greed, hatred, and delusions. And these actions are harmful and they are morally blameworthy. Or the actions could be good, wholesome, or skillful if the actions are based on the wholesome roots of non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion. And the good actions are beneficial and they are morally praiseworthy. Now, Kamma has two aspects. The action, that is Kamma, and the effect is called Vipaka. So only an action that is intentional is a Kamma. If there is no intention, there is no moral effect to that action. And Vipaka is the ripening of that action. But the conditions have to be right for a particular Kamma to produce its effect. The Buddha has described 5 heinous, serious actions which will definitely result in bad consequences. And they include killing one's mother, killing one's father, killing an enlightened arahant, wounding a Buddha, and creating a split among the Buddhist monastics. These 5 heinous actions will definitely lead to a negative consequences. And there is no higher authority who can influence the effect of any karma. And once an action is done, intentional action, it can give the results as long as we exist in the cycle of birth and death until we one day attain enlightenment and the state of Nibbana. Now, from the Buddhist literature, we know that even Lord Gautama Buddha and Arahants, they had to face the consequences of their karma that they had done in past lives. In a discourse called Sālayaka Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, some householders visited the Buddha and they asked the Buddha, "Sir, why is that some people after death are born in the worlds of suffering, while some people are born in heavenly worlds after death?" And the Buddha said, "Those who commit unwholesome actions, they are destined for the worlds of deprivation, while those who commit wholesome actions, they are destined for heavens." Now, depending on when a particular karma will produce its result, there are 4 types of karma. Some karma will produce results immediately within the same lifetime, while there are other karmas that will produce the effect during the next birth. And another group of karma will produce the results in subsequent births as long as one remains in the cycle of life and death. And there are some karmas which will become ineffective in time. And that is when someone attains enlightenment. Now, it can be extremely difficult for one to understand how karma works exactly. And in a discourse called Achintita Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha described 4 topics that are incomprehensible and impenetrable. And those 4 topics are the range of powers of a Buddha, the range of powers of one who has developed advanced states of concentration through meditation. And the third topic is the exact mechanism of how karma works. And the fourth topic is speculation about the world. The Buddha said, if anyone tries to comprehend and understand how karma works, one will end up being mentally ill and will not find the answer. Now, though karma does produce results eventually, it does not do it with mechanical rigidity, because negative effect of certain unwholesome actions can be reduced or even neutralized if one performs wholesome actions afterwards. So the final result of a particular karma depends not only of the original karma, but also the karma that have been done subsequently. Therefore, one should not have a sort of fatalistic attitude towards the Buddhist concept of karma. In a discourse called Lonapala Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya, Buddha said, we have done so much of karma during our cycle of birth and death that if every karma is to take effect in the same strength that it was performed, one will not get the opportunity to achieve an end to the suffering. And in the same discourse, the Buddha said, someone who has accumulated a vast amount of wholesome actions does a minor unwholesome action, there may be some small effect in the same lifetime, but there is no significant bad consequences in future lives. On the other hand, someone who has accumulated a vast amount of unwholesome actions, if that person does the similar unwholesome action, that will lead to significantly negative results in future lives, including birth in woeful states such as the hell. And Buddha gave a simile of crystal of the soul to explain that. If a lump of salt is put into a small jar of water, the water will get salty and undrinkable. Whereas if the same lump of salt is put into a big river, the water in the river will not be salty or undrinkable. The Buddha has said, Kamma needs the correct conditions to manifest its effect at a later date. This could be compared to a mango seed. Now, a mango seed has the potential to grow up to be a big mango tree and produce mango fruits. But the mango seed needs the right conditions. It needs to be planted in soil. It needs water. It needs fertilizers. It needs sunlight in order to grow up to be a big mango tree and produce mango fruits. And similarly, the Kamma needs the correct conditions to give its results in due course. Now, during the time of the Buddha, there were three theories in India regarding the causation of what happens to us. Now, one theory was that whatever happens to us now is always due to our previous karma in previous lives. And that was called karmic determinism. Another theory was that what happens to us now is due to the wish or the command of a supreme creator or some other divine authority. And that was called theistic determinism. And the third theory was that what happens to us now is not due to any cause, but by mere chance or accidents. And Buddha rejected all these three theories as recorded in the Tittayatana Sutta of the Anguttara Nikaya. Now, according to the Buddhist literature, Kamma is just one of 5 natural forces called niyamas. The first is the utuniyama, and that is the physical inorganic order. That is, things can happen due to climatic changes. Second is the bija niyama, and that is the physical, organic, or biological law. And that is the order of germs and seeds. Say a mango seed will only produce a mango tree. An apple seed will produce only an apple tree. And that is the bija niyama. The third is the chitta niyama, And that is the order of the mind, how our mind works, and the order of the psychological laws. The fourth is the Dhamma Niyama, and that's the order of nature, such as gravity and magnetic forces. And the fifth is the Kamma Niyama, the moral causation, the law of cause and effect. In a discourse called Sivaka Sutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, that is the collection of the Buddha's connected discourses. A person called Molliya Sivaka went to the Buddha and reported to the Buddha that there are some religious leaders who believe that all our feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, they are always due to the previous karma that we have done. But Buddha said, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feelings can arise from bile, phlegm, wind, and when there is imbalance of all those three, due to climatic conditions, changes, and due to our own improper care of ourselves, due to external trauma, and also due to karma. So Buddha said, karma is just one of the causes for our pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feelings to arise. So karma is intentional bodily, verbal, or mental action, and it's a natural process of cause and effect. It does not need a judge or superior authority to sit in judgment. Every karma, intentional action, has the potential to give results. Good karma will lead to good results. Bad karma will lead to bad results. And the result of a particular karma can appear either in this life or in future lives. Now, apart from a few serious actions that we have already described, every karma may not necessarily give rise to the expected results. It depends on other subsequent karma and also the conditions at the time of the result. And as Buddha has said, some karma can be diluted, while some karmas may even be nullified by subsequent actions. So a particular event in life can have multiple causes, and karma can be just one of those multiple causes. So everything does not happen due to karma alone. Thank you very much.